Now, the true definition of inspiring is having the effect of inspiring someone or giving someone really positive creative feelings. Well, today's guest, Rodgers Oloo Magudha, he joins me. He's also known as Nairobi Birdman, and he is the epitome of the definition. Now, Rodgers was raised in Kenya by his mother until she passed away when he was 12 years old. And those circumstances caused him to join, as he calls it, his street family. Now, he turns 28 this month, so for the last 15 years or so, he's lived on the street. And for many, you would think about it, it's an effort to survive the stripes of just making it day to day. But not Rodgers. When he was about 10, he found a flamingo in need of help. So Rodgers, being Rodgers, brought it home and nursed it back to health. And that was the beginning of Nairobi Birdman. Now, he says birds find him. He doesn't find them. And sure enough, through the years, he's the friend and savior of many and all sorts of birds, kites, owls, raptors, and so on. Today, you can usually find him walking around the street in Nairobi with one or several birds perched on his head or on his shoulders, but he has a plan. He wants to start a bird rescue center and a place for his many friends of the street, his street family. So get ready to be inspired, as I am, of this boy that has risen above his struggles to help others struggling and meet Rodgers, Nairobi Birdman.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and gains, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Markakyle.
Everybody, and welcome back to the For Real Podcast. Today, I've got a real new special friend in Nairobi. He's called sometimes Nairobi Birdman. His real name is Rodgers Oloo Magudha, and I probably said it wrong. Rodgers, thanks so much for joining the show. I'm so excited for everybody to meet you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, like I told you when we first met, when I read that article about all the things you've been doing, I've been so excited to have you on. But what I thought we would do when we start today, I want to talk about you as a young child before we get to today. Let's talk about where you lived. By the way, everybody, we're talking to Kenya. Let's talk about where you lived and when you were first growing up before you start meeting the birds and that. So let's talk about it as a young boy before everything started.
So, Mark, thank you so much for welcoming me in your podcast. So, my name is Rodgers Oloo Magudha. Yes, I was born in Nakuru, the late 1997. I was born there. So, for most of the people, they know Nakuru is a bird watcher place. So, I grew there. Since I was a kid, I used to love the birds. So I used to sneak during my leisure time. I used to go and sneak inside the Lake Nakuru National Park to go and see the birds.
But Lake Nakuru is really famous for all the flamingos and things like that, right?
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, we used to sneak in the lake, inside the lake. Yeah. So I used to go and see the birds. So when I was I was seeing the birds there. So I started having that love for the birds. I come up with a bond, the bond which is so much strong. So the first time I went inside the lake, I found an abandoned flamingo. So I started petting it. It was far from the water, so I take it. I pet it and then I take it to the water. It was happy. So from then I started loving the birds.
So, Rodgers, how old were you when that first flamingo, when you were actually playing around, when you were trying to make it happy again?
So I was about 10 years. It was the late 2009 up in 2009 to 8. So actually I was still young. Yeah, I was still living with my parents in Nakuru. So we used to go and go there looking for seeing the birds. So for me, when I first meet the first bird, I realized that taking care of the birds is the best thing, because most of the people, when they find the birds, what come up on their mind is eating them, yani killing them. So for me, I have something special, something different from other people. So I started having that bond, which even I can't even explain. So for me, the bond with the bird starts while I was young.
So you always like birds, and again, at that time you're 10. Your mom, so you were raised with just your mom. Your father was gone when you were really really young, right?
So I was raised with a single mother. Yeah, me and my brother. So, but my sad, unfortunately, my mother passed when I was 13 years old. When I was in class 8.
So when you're first talking about the flamingo, your mom was still around at this point, and then you were at this point. Were you always taking care of the birds from when you were age 10 on?
I used to, here in Kenya, most of us when we are kids, we like rearing pigeons.
Pigeons.
Yeah. So when I was young, I used to have pigeons, a lot of pigeons. So chickens, ducks. So me having feathered friends, it started when I was young. So, but I come to realize that I can do something different. Why not trying to have wild wild bird friends? So I come up with an idea to start having the wild birds as friends, as a little kid. So, but Johnson, I've met the first wild bird that I've rescued or met. I met here in Nairobi.
Yeah, I read an article where you talk about Johnson,
Yeah.
but when you were doing so, you at this time you were still in Nakura, and then when your mom passed away when you were 12 or 13. Then what happened after that? I know you live with some family, and I know you're still living sort of on the streets. Let's talk about what happened after your mom passed away. And I mean, obviously, I've been to Lake Nakura, so I know what it is, but with all the wild birds and stuff there. But when did you leave that area and end up and going to Nairobi? And let's talk a little bit about your journey from when you lost your mom and what happened after that.
So when I was young, I was living with my mom. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was 30. When I was 13 years old. Actually, I was in class 8. Yeah, but that didn't stop me from loving the birds. So the journey started the way I've told you when I was in Nakuru. So when my mom left, died actually, we I started at least fending for my own. That design where most of the people, when some, let's say, if the way my mom passed away, so I was supposed to be with my relatives. But nini, sometimes I didn't want to be a burden to the relatives. So that's when I decided to end up on the street, to go there in the street, to at least to try and find my luck, to yani to try and have a good life. So I end up on the street when I was in 13. So I used to go to the streets, go back to my family. Yeah.
And so when you went to the streets, now how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I am the second born. I have a brother, a big brother. Yeah, but at Nini, I know that my father has our some other kids there, but we didn't Nini grow to know each other. But for me, we are two. For from my mother's side, we are two. Me and my brother. Yeah, so we used to live together till my mother passed, and then my brother go on his way, and then me I go on my way. So I decided to go to the street because I didn't want to be a burden to the other family members. So, and that going back to the street didn't stop me from achieving my dreams, like learning, going to school, loving for the birds. Still, I'm a youth leader from the streets, and even I'm an environment and climate change champion.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at prepvet.com. Save 10% with promo code FURREALPODCAST, covered by most pet insurance.
So I guess after your mom passed, how soon were you in Nairobi? Right after that?
No, for us, when we are on the streets, we don't stay in one place. Maybe today you'll find me in Nairobi. Yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll want to go to Mombasa or Nakuru or Nini. Or yani in streets, we don't stay in one place. We move places to places because we just need to go and find a better place where we can find food, find shelter, at least clothes, and a safe place to stay where people will support us.
So I know that they call you Nairobi Birdman because people see you there because it's such a big city. So when you ended up going to the big cities, Mombasa or Nairobi, how did you start finding birds there? Because I mean, now you're famous and where you're from, and there's been a bunch of articles on it. How did you start finding birds, and what kind of birds were you finding?
So for me, I will tell you that I don't find the birds find me. So it was the early the it was almost 4 years ago when I met Johnson. I was in Nairobi CBD. I was begging for food, for people to buy for me food. Actually, I was along Nini Mombasa, Nini Moi Avenue, where we used to go as street family to go there and borrow people money, tell them to buy us food. So that's when I meet Johnson. So I was near Quickmart borrowing food, and then I will wish her come and they buy for us chips and chicken. So when I was under the tree eating my food, that's when Johnson came to me. It was thirsty, it was hungry. Actually, it was abandoned. Yeah, and when I take the that slice of meat and feed it, actually it was very happy, and then it climbed on my hand, and then actually from there we bond together and starting having a connection, and I declare myself as I will take care of these birds because not everybody will like to take care of the birds. Most of the people, they say these birds, they steal our meat, our chicken, or anything. But me, I come out to show people that everything deserve love, everything deserve care.
So what kind of bird is Johnson?
Johnson is a black kite, yeah, but recently I've rescued different species of birds. Yeah, I've rescued black kites, I've rescued the marabou stork, the crows, an owl, the pigeons, yeah.
So tell me some stories. I know Johnson is the one that now Johnson. Let's talk a little bit more about Johnson first.
Yeah.
Now Johnson kind of listens to you. In the article I read, you can tell him to jump on your shoulder, and he'll jump on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So Johnson is the first wild bird to be on my care. Yeah, so when I meet Johnson, actually Johnson, it was a sign of hope for me. Actually, compassion, strength. For me, Johnson is like a blessing because the first time I met Johnson, actually I was so depressed, living on the streets and lonely. So when the first time I find Johnson, actually it brings something in my heart, and my soul. That design, love is concerned. So Johnson, since I met Johnson, a lot of things have changed in my life. A lot of things.
So I do believe that you've probably found a purpose, and you've also, by giving something, you got something back. So, but when you see the pictures of you, and I'm going to get back to some story about some of your other birds, but the pictures that I've seen of you, you've got them on your head, you got them on your shoulders, you walk around with the birds all over the place because they all trust you. So, and so let's talk about some of the other birds you found. I know you've named some other ones. So tell me some of the names of some of your birds, and even I want to know a little bit about the owl too, because I didn't know that you'd found an owl as well, or he found you.
Yeah, so for the black kites, I've rescued Johnson the Hawk, I've rescued Jamie, John, Ted, Jenny, but most of the birds I've already released them to nature. Yeah, because I don't have a really big place where I can shelter them, and I don't have enough finance where I can support them through foods. Most of the birds, they are flesh eaters. Yeah, but for Johnson, to me, we have struggled together from the streets till now. Yeah, since I met him, Johnson. Yeah, it's not only a friend of mine, it's a companion. Yeah.
And so, does he sleep with you at night, or does he have a little perch that he sleeps on? How does that work?
For Johnson, they have their own nest.
Well, when you say they have their own nest, is that where you're? Because I know you're still on the streets. I know sometimes you say at friends' houses and stuff, but if you're on the streets, do you like make a little nest for him when he's sleeping at night? How does that work?
Yeah, for when we're on the street, we have our own places where we can stay. Yeah, but when right now somebody is hosting us, yeah, we are having like we call it in Swahili kiomba, a place where the birds stay.
Kiamba?
Kiomba, yeah, where the birds stay. So there's a cage where I've created for the birds, yeah, for the pigeons and the remaining kites, because most of the birds have already released them because they are now good to thrive in nature.
Yeah, so that's let's talk a little bit about that so people understand. So for you guys listening, and just look at the picture of the cover that's on here, but if you dig into it a little bit, you're actually rescuing the birds and bringing them back to health so they can go do different things, but you're feeding them and doing a bunch of things to get them healthy so they can go on their own again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so how many birds do you have right now?
Right now, I am having two different species of birds. I'm having the pigeon and the kites. Yeah, right now I'm having Jamie, John, and Johnson from the kites, the black kite side, and the pigeon side. I'm having Adija, Billy, and Susie. Yeah, but recently I did have the marabou stock, which I named the finance, and the marabou, and I have the an owl, which I named the bunny. I recently have the crow, which I named Corona and Jaden. But most of the birds have already released them. Yeah, because right now I don't have, as I've told you, I don't have a big place where I can shelter more birds, and then I don't have a lot of money where I can support more birds, food, because these birds, they depend on meat. Yeah, most of them, they're carnivorous. So yeah, but for my I will rescue more birds, but for me, I will be happy to see them thriving in nature.
Thriving in there. So one of the things, an article I read about you is that people talk about how people thought that maybe that it was witchcraft and a bunch of stuff because when you have some of the birds on your shoulders and that,
Yeah.
some of the traditions that are there, and then but other people all now become more friendly to you because most people are afraid of people that live on the street. So Let's talk about a little bit about that and how one is the superstitions and also how people now like you more because they trust you because you have animals with you.
Yeah, most of the people they trust me a lot, because I not only bring safety to the birds, I bring smile to the people. Yeah, because sometimes you find me outside there on the street. Yeah, maybe somebody is sad or nini, but the moment somebody is spotting me with the birds, they end up smiling. That's when I come up with a quote every day. You don't forget to smile. For the people, yeah, a lot of people they have confront me about the witchcraft thing. Yeah, but most of the African people, they believe in myths, they believe in cultural things. But for me, I wanted to show them that it's all about nature. Yeah, and everything is about myths. Like when I first rescued the owl which the barn owl. So when I rescued the barn owl for the first time, when I show it for the people they were like, "Wow, that is a demon. Yeah, you will not be alive uh, in 3 days. When it cries, you will die." But for me, it's all about connection. It's all about care. It's all about love. Because first of all, God Himself give us the power and the love to take care of His creatures. So the moment I see any God's creature need help, and I will always be available to chip in and give it help for the people. Me, I want to tell the people that it's so let's not believe about the myth. Let's not believe about our culture. These birds, they really need us. They really need us because they play a big role in our ecosystem. They need us. They need us and we need them at the same time, like the marabou stock, the scavengers, because they reduce our landfills ill design. They eat the bones, the nini. So for me, witchcraft is something to be the last thing to think. Yeah, it's nothing about witchcraft. It's love for nature, love for the birds.
So, how old are you now?
Right now, I'm 27 years old. Actually, I'm turning 28 on 20th October this month.
So, you're going to be 28 this year. Here, so you've been living on your own since you were 13. So that's 15 years.
Yeah, since I was 13.
Right. So it'll be 15 years when you real soon.
Yeah,
So let's just think about that. So first of all, you lose your mother. You're raised by your mom by herself. Then you're on the streets. You take care of birds when you're 10 years old.
yeah.
You live on the streets. Now you're rescuing these birds and saving them. And you've just really done a positive thing. Now, one of the things you and I talked about, I want you to talk about your goal now as an almost 28-year-old. What is it you want to do? I know you've got some. I mean, obviously, there's a purpose for you to be with these birds. But let's talk about what your plans are for the future and what you want to do.
For me, I have a vision, a big dream, both for the birds and the street family. In future, I want to to open a rescue center for the birds, and even a shelter for the street family. Because as you can see, they both need care, support, love. Yeah. So for me, my I have a big dream. So any support which will come through, I will really appreciate. Yeah, because as you can see, I've rescued a lot of birds, but right now most of them I end up releasing them while they are not ready yet, because I'm not I don't have that enough support where I can provide for them food, where I can provide for them a shelter, because I don't have enough space where I can put all the birds which need to be rescued. So for me, my dream is to having a big place here in Nairobi where I can build a shelter both for the birds and the street family. Yeah, and even to achieve my dream, because I know I have a big dream.
Well, first of all, it's good to have dreams, and it's a great idea. And as you were saying earlier, for you guys listening, one of the things is that most of these birds live on, they're carnivores, so they need raw meat. And so if you're a street person or you're part of the street family, it's really hard to be able to feed these guys. So you're taking food out of your mouth sometimes to take care of these birds. So I think it's really admirable that you want to have a shelter for them and also to be able to help your street family. I think it's an amazing thing. I think
Yeah,
you're one of my heroes, and I'm sure people who listen are going to think you're a hero too, because I've spent some time in Nairobi. I know how big the city is and how crazy it can be too.
yeah.
So for people to find you, let's talk about. I know you have social media because I'm a friend of yours on social media now. Can you tell everybody how to find you if they wanted to get in touch with you to help you or whatever, so they can get that information?
Yeah, so for me, if you want to reach me out, you can reach me out through my social media accounts. You can find me at Nairobi Birdman. You can search Nairobi Birdman, you'll find me, or you can search me at Nairobi.Birdman on my TikTok.
Okay, is it Nairobi Birdman on TikTok or just Birdman?
Nairobi.Birdman.
Okay, Nairobi.Birdman.
Yeah, and other social media account is Nairobi_Birdman.
Underscore Birdman. Great. So one of the things, so for you guys that are listening, I'm going to be telling something, or maybe some news for him in the future that I'll let everybody know. And he doesn't know I have a secret to tell him when we get done today. But for you guys that are listening, if you go to social media, you can do that, and you'll see the photos of him. You know what I love about this episode? There's always things that are inspiring, and this is one of the stories that I love getting out there. So before we get done, remember I was telling you I always tell a silly animal joke. So I have one for you today, and everybody that's listening, I know you're cringing. This one is as bad as all the other ones, and hopefully the translation will work through. So, Rodgers, here's my joke for you today. What do you call a bird that's afraid to fly? Do you have any idea?
For me, uh, let me,
Probably not.
yeah, for me, my idea was an ostrich.
Well, you know what? That's a good answer. Mine would be a bird that's afraid to fly, because here in the US, if you're afraid of things, we call it a chicken. So a bird that's afraid to fly is a chicken. Anyways, for everybody out there listening, I know you're cringing, but as I always say, if you've got a better joke and you want your grandkids, your kids, or you want to be on the show, send me an email at mkyle@thefurrealpodcast.com and I'll put you on. Or if you have a great idea for the show, again, email me at mkyle@thefurrealpodcast.com, and you know what? We'll put you on too. But lastly, Rodgers, you're my hero. I'm going to see you in Nairobi for sure. I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here, and I really appreciate.
Well, I tell you what, it's people like you that inspire the rest of us. And then lastly, for everybody that's out there listening, you know what? These are the kind of things that make us better people. But most importantly for me, keep listening, keep following. But really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening. For real.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.